Alright, so lately we've been watching a lot of Indian programming. So today I thought I'd take us back to the very beginning. I guess not the very beginning. This program today is called India Independent, and this is again by the Ministry of Information Films Division, published back in 1949. So this is a bit of an earlier India program than what we've watched recently. And again, the reason I chose it is because the title, India Independent, kind of suggests that we are going to get to learn like the story of Indian independence, which I think is important for us to understand anything after that, right? Like we need to understand the story of Indian nationhood before we can really dive into all the really interesting bits of Indian history, right? So I think this is going to be a very good like overview of just the most basic form of Indian independence history, which as an American, I know next to nothing about anyways. So I think I'm going to learn a lot from this, and I think you guys are too. So let's dive in, right? India Independent 1949. Oh, and I feel like I should say that India only really gained its independence from the British around this time. So this is like right, like while the iron is hot, right? Like this is as India is gaining independence, they are making this program about their own independence. So this should be like a very interesting, like of the times perspective on Indian independence. This should be very interesting for most of you, but especially for my Indian audience. I think you guys will really enjoy this one. So let's get started, right? Let's dive in, actually. Oh, okay, so already, I know I gotta make a mention of it, but the music already is different than what I'm used to. Usually the music for these things is really upbeat, really like happy about it. But this is what Indian music sounds like, I guess, when it's supposed to be serious. That's what I think the music is trying to convey right now, is that we are like talking about things that are very important, which I guess we are. This is India's independence. It's just, this is not the typical like sitar strum that you're introduced to India with for most of these programs. So just another little interesting bit of information you can pick up from the music alone. But Documentary Films of India presents. That's funny how it's kind of a different title than it is now. But again, we have the Indian flag in the background and we have this Indian symbol. I know this is the symbol of India. This is like on their passports and everything too. So this is like very, very Indian image we're looking at right now. India Independent. What's so funny about the font that they're using is that like in America, this is like the horror font. If there was like a Halloween like killer, this is the font of the movie that they'd use for it. You know what I'm talking about? Like this is this is like the fake like horror log cabin font. I don't know how else to describe it, but like this font reads differently, I feel like, to an American than an Indian. Maybe that's just me though. Like, I have a bad feeling about India's independence now that I'm looking at it through this font. Alright, produced by Bhavnani. The commentary written by, wow, Berkeley Hill. I feel like Berkeley Hill is the only name that I actually recognize from any of these. Spoken by Melville DeMello. That must be like a professional name. Melville DeMello? I don't even know what to think of that. That must be an Indian person who chose like a very like sing-songy name for themselves. So we'll have to listen for it, right? Spoken by. So this is the narrator. Melville DeMello is the narrator. So we should get a lesson on what they sound like soon. And the editor, Pratap Parmar. I hope I'm saying that right and not offensively, but I like reading the name. Yeah, this is some very different music. This is almost like Western music, comparatively at least. Like we're listening to horns, trumpets, like this is really an orchestra. I don't know, this sounds more Western almost. Maybe that's because of the subject material. Like this is pretty similar to like American Independence Day music, you know? Like this is, maybe that's the whole point of it, is that it's more like independence bombastic. I don't know.
India Independent.
Wow, there you go. There's the title. First words of this whole thing. Melville DeMello, India Independent. All right, so we can see the date, August 15th, 1947. So hang on. Like I said, yeah, 1949 this program was made. So this was made 2 years after India gained independence. So this is really like during the independence movement of India, which is really cool. I think we're going to get some really interesting information out of this because of that.
A new nation is born. from north to south, from east to west.
Dang, that's so funny that they already have like all these flags on this string. Like I feel like that's such a modern thing, but I guess hanging flags on banners, I guess, was an old-timey thing too. It's just like they already have these flags, you know what I'm saying? Like, like how'd they get them like that?
In every corner of this ancient land, so rich and colorful.
You know what? I have to remember that this is all propaganda, and this is probably like a staged setup right here. Like this is not just like two normal Indian peasants setting up their house. This is like actresses doing what the director told them to do. So I got to remember that.
Culture and tradition, there was unbounded joy.
There was unbounded joy. All right, you know what? That's fair.
For our people were rejoicing, ready to welcome the long-awaited liberty. A liberty for which they had fought, suffered, and sacrificed.
Hang on, so are they doing like street art right now? Is this like chalk or something that they're drawing on the streets? That's pretty cool. This is actually like really impressive art if this is all like hand-drawn murals on the ground. That's like, I have nothing else to really say, but like that's really awesome, you know? I guess the only other thing I have to say is like I can't believe these people are sitting on the ground with their nice dresses. Maybe that's just me, but it's like, I don't know. Their dresses look too nice to be sitting on the ground with, but again, that's just me.
Centuries ago, when the nations of the West...
What is this building? I feel like I should know this building. You know, I feel like all my Indian fans are like losing faith in me because I don't know this building. There's another program I have called India and Its History, and it also has this building as its like thumbnail image. So like I know this building is like super important to Indian history. I don't quite understand how. I hope we learn though. I hope that's about to happen.
We're living in darkness.
No, I guess not. I guess we're just skimming over it. Well, you know what? I'll come back to that.
Civilization was in flower. A civilization that has flourished for over 5,000 years.
5,000 years to civilization. That is pretty amazing when you think about it. And now we're seeing just shots of different temples, I guess. Some look like mosques, some look like just other temples. I don't really know what religion each of these temples is for, but like it's pretty cool to see the temples.
Ours is a rich inheritance.
Ours is a rich inheritance. You know, that's pretty true too. They have like so much history going on in India that like, I don't know, I would be very proud. If I was an Indian person, I would be like, India is the coolest place ever. Oh, it's these Jain temples again. We were literally in this temple in another video. Oh man, it's the Jain temple for sure. I'd recognize these women anywhere. See, now we're in this upbeat Indian music phase. I really like this sort of music. Oh wow, now we're getting a dance too, see?
But India, like other nations, has had her periods of glory and...
Again, I really hope this is like all 100% authentic performances that I'm watching right now. This would be like so lame if it's just like some propaganda office taking some like random knickknacks that people aren't going to understand and dancing in them. But like, I really hope there's meaning behind like the outfits these people are wearing and like the moves they're doing. Like, I really hope this is acted as like a form of preservation for these people's like cultures and traditions. Like, I really hope that's the case. I really hope this isn't just like a fake performance.
Despair.
Like it could be. That's the thing. It's like you never know with this sort of propaganda film, like what's real and what's authentic and what's not. But at the very least, I'm over here hoping this is all real.
During the latter half of the 18th century, a dark shadow fell across the land.
The latter half of the 18th century, a dark shadow fell over India. Yeah, you could say that again. This is actually a very interesting map animation and artistic choice. They are showing the shadow of British soldiers over the map of India, like they're standing over it. That's actually like such a good visual like cue. Again, these Indian programs are so like eloquent in the strangest of ways to an American. Like this is something that I would never think of doing on a map sequence, is showing the shadows of British soldiers. Wow, that was hard to say. But they did, and it perfectly conveys the information that they're going for. It just shows some level of like certain creativity for sure. Like this is definitely a creative way of illustrating the British presence in India.
1757. At the Battle of Plassey.
1757, is that when the British really showed up? Is that what we're learning?
A fierce struggle ensued on the plains of Bengal.
Oh no, this is a big battle in 1757, okay. In the plains of Bengal.
On one side were ranged the armies of several rulers, corrupted by intrigue, crudely armed and lacking cohesion.
Corrupted by intrigue. That's an interesting statement. You know, they make this historical period sound so interesting. Like the corruption by intrigue, just like, that sounds like a fun board game. I don't know.
On the other, the forces of the foreigner under Robert Clive, equipped with the latest weapons of destruction.
The forces of the foreigner. That's interesting. They're not even mentioning British specifically. They're just foreigners, which I guess from an Indian perspective is fair. They're not British people. They're just foreigners.
The success of the British in this battle
I guess we are mentioning the British then.
sealed the fate of India, and she became the vassal of a foreign power.
Sealed the fate of India. She became the vassal of a foreign power. You know, I feel like almost every country in history has had at least one phase where they're just the vassal of another power. Maybe not the British, though. I don't know.
As the result of her serfdom, the fingers of her potters began to lose their cunning.
Okay, so the success of the British in this battle is what sealed the fate of India. That's interesting. So this must be like the most important battle in like Indian colonial history, I guess. Maybe not the most important battle in like all of Indian history. I don't know Indian history well enough to make that claim, but like this seems like a very important recent battle in Indian history at least.
The vassal of a foreign power. As the result of her serfdom, fingers of her potters began to lose their cunning.
The fingers of her potters began to lose their cunning. So what they're saying is that pretty much once the British took over, all the Indian artistry kind of started to fade away. People had less of a reason or less of a economic stimulus to work so hard on amazing works of art like this. Or at least that's what they're claiming.
The skill of her artists grew less.
The skill of her artists grew less. See, isn't that so interesting? Because obviously that's not true to a certain degree, right? Like the artists didn't lose their ability the moment the British arrived, right? Like that's not what happened. Like the artist stopped working and stopped creating Indian works of traditional Indian value because the British kind of forced them to stop, really, or at least that's how I imagine it went. So it's very figurative language. It's very interesting, but it's also interesting information as well.
And the workers in copper, bronze, silver, and gold lost the secrets of their craftsmanship.
Dang, that's wild. I really hope they didn't lose all their secrets. I really hope it went into like hiding, but that would be nuts to learn that like the British arrived and like the Indians just lost like half of their craftsmanship knowledge, you know, like that. I really hope that's not true.
Her Dhaka muslins, her Benares brocades.
Oh, muslin, no way. I actually know what muslin is. That's so funny because of the Mohammedan world. That's all right, so we're dealing with muslin. We're not in Mosul, but we're dealing with muslin. So these are textiles. Interesting. I wonder what was the other one? Damask? I wonder if he has damask here.
Her entire trade and industry were crushed.
Dude, what a shot of this guy working the loom, though. Like, can we just go back to this shot? Yeah, of him, like, Dutch angled for sure, and then his just, like, hairy chest. What an angle for a shot. I don't even know how you get this shot. It must be, like, in the loom or whatever.
Then came 1857.
Dude, I love the graphic, the 1857 graphic. What's so funny is because they made these programs in Hindi and in English. I have to imagine they had to do this graphic twice, right? They had to do it with the actual Hindi date, and then they had to do it with the English date. And it's funny to imagine they had to do all these little effects twice because of the language. You know, I guess Indian people might just use like Latin numerals. I don't think so though. They must have their own as well, is the thing. Like they must have used their own for the Hindi version at least.
The Indian Mutiny.
The Indian Mutiny. See, this is interesting because I've never really even heard of this. This sounds like the Indian Revolutionary War to me. Oh, I wonder how much this footage is real too. This footage must be fake, right? Like it must be staged with actors later. It's not real footage, right? Nah, 1857, this isn't footage from 1857. Civil War, that's before the Civil War in the US. So I don't think this is real footage from 1857.
Herself from the foreign yoke.
The foreign yoke. See, even like the word choice that this guy has, like freaking Berkeley over here using all sorts of words.
But again, it ended in a triumph for British arms. revolt.
Dude, I can like barely even see what's going on because they're cross-fading images of these battles with like footage of these battles. So like I'm really having trouble paying attention.
Was suppressed and the people disarmed. In the years that followed, there was much despair throughout India.
Well, this is crazy though. They are firing guns from like this temple, which again, it's not like a real battle that they're filming, but it's like all the real locations and the real actions, you know? It's like this is what guns firing off of this temple looks like, you know? Like this is as authentic as real war footage would have been. Maybe not as authentic, but like it still gets the idea across, I guess.
But though her body was enchained, her spirit could not be broken.
Though her body was enchained, her spirit could not be broken. See, that's the crazy part about India is like, yeah, America had its Revolutionary War and won, but I guess India just did not. So I guess it suffered probably a lot more because of this as well.
India waited in patience through the dark years for one who would set her free.
Dude, again, I love the camera work on these still shots, right? Like this is a photograph on a table and somebody holding a camera is like physically backing away from it to try to give you a bigger shot. And it's all because they want to reveal the size of this crowd, right? Like they wanted to show you the beginning of the crowd and then how big it is once they zoom out, which is just like, I don't know, it's funny. It's funny to see the camera work and like the intention behind the camera operator for this sort of stuff.
At last he came, born in 1869. His name, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi.
See, I'm curious about like people's perception of Gandhi in India because it seems like half of people like straight up worship Gandhi as like a saint, you know, which like I guess in America we do the same thing with like George Washington or whatever. It's just like it seems like there's definitely like a cult of worship around Gandhi in India now. Not that he doesn't deserve it. I mean, he obviously accomplished independence for the country. I don't know how much he alone accomplished it, but I guess we'll learn.
It was not long before the people recognized...
It's so funny that he had people carrying umbrellas for him, though. Like, you would think he'd be fine getting drizzled on.
...recognized in him their leader, and in him were identified the oppressed masses of India.
You know, I already know some about Gandhi, but I am curious, like, why him? Like, why out of this huge country full of all of these people, like, this one guy was the one who, like, made it all happen, you know? Like, it's just how, like, what was so special about Gandhi? I guess he was Western educated. That might have been the thing. Like, he might have actually just been a very smart Indian person, you know?
In him were focused the ideals and aspirations of those loyal sons of India who had died in the struggle.
Dude, what a legend, though. And he's just walking around shirtless. Is there any other, like, world leader, like, world-famous world leader who is just known for being shirtless? You know, like, Gandhi's a real one for that.
Dada Boy Nauroji.
I guess he wasn't a world leader, though. Like, I guess he wasn't actually elected or anything. Or was he? No, I don't think so.
Gokhale.
Hang on, who are these guys? I don't recognize these guys at all.
Dada Boy Nauroji.
Naja Boy Noroji? I don't know. If we are hitting like important Indian history, I am lost. Like I don't know who any of these guys are.
Gokhale.
Gokhale? This guy looks like Stalin.
Tilak.
These all look like communist statues for some reason.
Lala Lajpat Rai.
Lala Lajpat Rai? I don't know. I'm sorry for the mispronunciations. I'm trying to say their names out loud. But these guys seem like important historical figures. That's why I'm making the effort to like try to understand who they are.
Pandit Motilal Nehru.
Oh, this guy has a normal photograph. That's just, that's not a statue at all.
Nehru. Pandit Malviya. Dr. Ansari.
Dr. Ansari. I feel like I've actually heard of Dr. Ansari before.
C.R. Das. Hakim Ajmal Khan.
Hakim, you know what? I just can't get the last name. But that's interesting. Is that like his closest friends or advisors or something?
Gandhiji introduced a new technique into the political arena. Satyagraha. Non-cooperation.
Non-cooperation. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I know about Gandhi too. It was peaceful protesting, did not get along. Oh, what was the walk? What was the walk that he went on? He went the salt walk, right? He went on a salt walk to the ocean. That was like the big protest in India. I bet we're gonna get there.
His shield was truth.
Who's this woman talking to him? I know Gandhi had some strange beliefs when it came to hanging out with women, so I'm curious now about these women surrounding him. If you don't know about Gandhi's strange beliefs regarding women, don't let me ruin them for you, but like, definitely had some interesting thoughts.
His weapon, non-violence. And among those that gathered round...
Like, is this Indira Gandhi? Is that who that is? I have no idea. But isn't that his daughter, not his... You know what? I'm just going to take the dumb American card and say, is this Indira Gandhi? It could be, for all I know.
The Mahatma are names that have written and are still writing glorious chapters in India's history. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel.
I'm curious if the Indian viewers right now know who these people are, right? Like, are these all like well-studied historical figures? Are they like, if you're from India, do you know these names? Or are you like learning people for the first time as well?
Babu Rajendra Prasad, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Sri Raja Gopalachari, Sarojini Naidu, Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay.
You know, it's interesting that they're letting women speak too. That's like, again, another like nice little fact about like, I don't know, Indian speeches at this time. I guess women were allowed to give speeches too.
Padya, Jaya Prakash Narayan, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru with Abdul Ghaffar Khan, affectionately called by the people the Frontier Gandhi.
The fancier Gandhi? Or fancier Gandhi, is that what he said?
Gandhiji, the apostle of peace, was also a man of action.
The apostle of peace, I like that. That's like, that goes hard.
In 1930, at the head of a vast...
Yeah, when the four horsemen of the apocalypse come down and you have to like battle them, I feel like Gandhi will be one of the four people you fight the horsemen of the apocalypse with. The apostle of peace.
multitude, he marched to Dundee.
Like, yeah, the horsemen of the apocalypse versus the apostles of peace, you know? Like, that's what I imagine it as.
By the sea, and there exhorted his followers to make salt and thus shatter the alien government's monopoly.
The Aryan government's monopoly. That's a very interesting use of the word Aryan, too. The Aryan government's monopoly. All right, at least we're talking about salt as a substance right now, which I think we're going to get there to the salt walk eventually. Dang, is this might be real footage, actually, of these English people? Like, beating them with whips? Oh, no. Like, I hate to smile and get so excited when seeing real footage of people being smacked by whips, but like, it's really cool to actually see the footage of the cruel colonizers, you know? Like, you don't actually get much of that either. Even though you're told about it, you don't get to see the cruelty. And I hate to sound so excited about getting to see it, but like, you have to preserve it, right? Like, that's also the value of programs like this, is not only preserving the Indian people's innocence, but preserving the colonizers' cruelty as well, so that you understand the full situation. So this is cool that we get to see it at least.
The rulers used force to overcome the opposition. But the fate of the people...
Like, this looks real. This does not look staged at all. Like, this is too chaotic, it feels like, to actually be staged.
People in Gandhiji never faltered. They used passive resistance and defied the law.
You know, honestly, I don't know. I just don't understand how the Indian people were kept in subservience for so long by these guys. You know, by guys all in white with just like sticks to smack everyone with. You know, like obviously there was probably a greater monopoly on violence with like cannons and stuff, but like, I don't know. Just like, it seems like they're so outnumbered. It seems like they could have gotten away with revolting, I guess.
And in the ensuing struggle, many lives were lost.
You know what? I guess that's the part that we're getting to right now, is the part where lives are being lost.
And now the Second World War exploded across the earth.
Oh, wow, this is the Second World War. So that's so interesting to think that, like, Indians helped the British during the Second World War while they themselves were fighting the British for their own independence. Like, thank you, I guess, to whatever Indian people came and fought the Nazis. You know what? There must be some crazy stories of Indian people going to Europe during World War II. I can only imagine.
The whole world was embroiled.
It's just so strange to think that Indian people were helping their own, like, colonizer. Like, I wouldn't even really blame Indian people for siding with the Nazis on this one, you know, just because from their perspective, like, their cruel colonial overlords were the British. It's just, I don't know, it's a very complex time period, I guess. But a lot of, like, I don't know, crisscrossing allegiances too.
Foiled in a titanic struggle between the forces of democracy and
Again, I think this is all like stock footage or like footage that they got from a reel somewhere. I don't think they actually filmed this for the program. I could be wrong about that, but dropping bombs on India for like this propaganda film is a bit much. Dang, are these oil fields burning? I feel like we're going through this too fast.
although of Western origin, its repercussions were also felt in distant India.
Although it's of Western origin. That's a funny way of putting World War II. I guess it is of Western origin.
But also felt in distant India.
Its repercussions were also felt in distant India as well. It must have been so weird to be in a different part of the world during World War II. It's hard to imagine. I don't know.
Soon our sons were fighting side by side with the sons of Britain.
See, yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you are colonized by the British. You fought a war against the British, and now you're going to send your sons to fight with the British against their enemies. You know, it's just like, what? You know, like, what's going on here? Like, I know these people didn't really have a choice or anything. It's just like, it's a little backwards, I guess. But also, how do you train all these Indian people to fight and then not expect them to, like, be trained enough to achieve their own independence in the aftermath? You know, like, this is 1949. And India achieved its independence like 2 years before this. So you have to imagine like some of the experiences these Indian soldiers came back to India with from like World War II Europe might have like helped them establish their own country afterwards as well. I don't know. That's just like, it's an interesting thought.
March 19...
Like, I feel like only after this was India actually positioned with, like, its own trained military and whatnot to actually be independent. Like, before this, I don't know. I don't know if they would have been able to sustain it. But, like, I don't know. That's interesting to think of the implications of training soldiers for World War II had on India, of all places.
42. Britain, in order to obtain India's cooperation in the war, sent out Sir Stafford Cripps to negotiate with our leaders.
Oh, okay, there you go. So in order to get cooperation in the war, they had to negotiate with the Indians. That's interesting. So they probably did negotiate for like much more autonomy and eventually their own independence. That's crazy how, like, that's how the cookie crumbled, right? Like, Britain could have held on to India longer if they weren't so desperate from World War II. Like, the fact that World War II is the reason that India gained its independence is just, like, I don't know, an interesting little route of history, I guess.
Numerous parleys between Sir Stafford Cripps and our high-ranking leaders took place in New Delhi. Our leaders wished full liberty. Liberty to wage war as a free people.
That's a bit of a weird first liberty to ask for. Yeah, our first liberty is to wage war as a free people. Like, I don't know, that does not sound very Indian to me, and that does not sound like it came out of Gandhi's mouth, if you ask me. But I don't know, that's my opinion at least.
And not as vassals of another power.
See, that's just so funny that that's the argument that they made. They wanted to fight their own battles, not as somebody else's vassal, you know? Like, I don't know, like, they still want to fight the war. Like, don't get them wrong. They love fighting the war. They just want to do it as free people, you know? Like, that's just, just a funny way of putting that, I guess.
But Mr. Churchill, the leader of Britain's war cabinet, was utterly opposed to this demand.
Utterly opposed to this demand. Yeah, you can say that again. Dang, look at this guy's sunglasses. See, these people have such cool, like, get-ups.
Cabinet was utterly opposed to this demand.
Yeah, this guy with his little, like, hat and sunglasses and his, like, razor-sharp beard, like, this guy's got a good look going on for himself.
He said, "We will under no circumstances agree to the liquidation of the British Empire."
See, that's interesting that they thought of relinquishing India as akin to dissolving the British Empire. That just reveals like how important India was to the overall British Empire. They probably cranked so much wealth out of this place too. It's so imaginable to even think about like the benefits of colonizing India. Even like the logistics of this all, you know, like it's hard to imagine really what the British got out of it and what they didn't. I don't know.
Indian leaders, in order not to fail the nation, made desperate...
Congress rejects British proposals. So I can only imagine the British proposal was to just not for them to gain independence.
efforts to come to some understanding with the British that might satisfy both sides. all to no purpose.
That is very interesting how they were having these like peaceful negotiations during World War II in order to figure out if the Indian soldiers would be helping the British. That is the intrigue that I was talking about earlier.
Sir Stafford returned to England, his mission a failure.
It's funny because his mission being a failure is probably like a good thing for Indian people, right? Like Indian people are probably happy that he left that meeting a failure.
After the Cripps mission, Congress assembled in Bombay.
Congress assembled in Bombay, not Mumbai, Bombay. That's interesting. I mean, I guess that's not interesting. I already knew that it was called that before that. But it's always interesting just to hear like the historical terms actually in use. Like that was a Bombay in its native habitat.
Leaders and delegates from every part of the country came for the session.
Dude, this must have been crazy. This must have felt like such a historical event to the people who were actually witnessing it at the time. Like, just to see everyone from every part of India coming through to, like, meet for Congress, that must have been, like, nuts.
The air was charged with emotion and excitement.
What does this arm signal mean? I'm getting weird vibes from this arm signal.
The leaders were faced with a dilemma.
Oh, dang, look at all these girls in their uniforms, too. See, that's another British holdover, is like the school uniforms. That's so funny. If you had visited India before the British, like these girls would have been wearing, like, obviously something completely different, like their dresses or their robes, whatever you want to call them. It's interesting to see them, even during this period, proudly wearing the uniforms rather than their traditional robes.
Faced with a dilemma. All were against the fascist powers and their brutal aims to enslave the world.
All were against the fascist powers. That's funny how they were actually calling out the British as fascist, because the British probably did not think of themselves as the fascists. They thought of the Nazis as the fascists. But also, look at this cool old Indian flag. This is the Indian flag before they really had like a official Indian flag. So this is like the loom or the spinning wheel, which is still on the flag today, but they don't have the whole machine. They only have the wheel. So it's interesting to see the flag while it's still like the whole weaving machine, or I don't know what it's called. It's a loom or it's a spinning wheel or something, but it's whatever it is. It's a very big symbol of India, and it's interesting to see this very early attempt at making an Indian flag.
Sympathy was with the Allies to help them in the war with every...
Like, imagine if India had this flag. I guess that's not that different. It's just like, it's a little funnier, I guess, than the icon they have now for their spinning wheel.
Every resource at our command. And the leaders put the question to Britain, how can we fight for freedom when we have no freedom ourselves?
Yeah, that's facts. How can we fight for freedom when they don't have freedom? You know, like, that's fair. I don't know.
But Britain refused to answer.
See, I don't know. I feel like that's just them being foolish. I don't know. Maybe it's like a power thing, but like, I don't know. Like, how can you even argue with that?
And then Gandhiji gave the nation the two magic words.
Why did he say it like that? The Gandhiji? Like, is that actually how you would say his name? Not just Gandhi?
Words, quit India. He told Britain...
Dude, again, freaking shirtless, giving a speech. Like, what a freaking real one Gandhi was.
We will fight the war against fascism as an equal partner of the Allies.
They will fight the war against fascism as an equal partner of the Allies. See, I feel like India has been doing this same, like, political maneuvering ever since then, you know? Like, well, they've always played sort of both sides, and they've never really chosen to be on one or the other. You know, like, in the Cold War, it was the same thing.
In reply, the Conservative Party, then in power in Britain, clamped all the Indian leaders into jail.
Oh, wow. So this is like, yeah, this is how Gandhi went to jail, I guess. Or maybe not, maybe not. I know Gandhi was in jail. Maybe not. I don't know. I think he was. Maybe, yeah, just cut all that then, Evan.
At this time, there appeared on the horizon in Southeast Asia, Subhash Chandra Bose.
Wow, look at all these guys. So this is real footage of, like, soldiers in India.
A loyal son of India. force.
Again, does everyone in India know who this guy is? Like, am I just learning about him for the first time, but you guys are like following along like this is just like a first grade history lesson? Like, how much of this is actually well known in India? I have to imagine like most of it is, but I want to know about these specific people. Like, how important was this guy? Like, he could be like, like India's Thomas Jefferson for all I know, like he could be super important, or he could just be like some random official. I wonder why there are just women everywhere too. Like, you would imagine these would be soldiers in another like sort of political arena. So it's interesting that they are just women, like century women. I don't know. And they have all these sticks. They might be protectors. I don't know. It's just, what are these women doing here, I don't even know what's going on.
Will be met with force, he said, and raised an army of courageous men from loyal Indians captured by the Japanese. Bose's aim was to use this, the Azad Hind Army, only to make the British give India her freedom.
Raised an army of loyal Indians captured by the Japanese? That's interesting. So the Japanese were capturing Indians? I'm trying to figure out where. I guess in Southeast Asia. Yeah, I guess it said that.
Bose's aim was to use this, the Azad Hind Army, only to make the British give India her freedom. Meanwhile, India's regular fighting forces had won the praise of the world as second to none.
I wonder if that's true. I feel like that's just like, I don't know. I feel like that is a bit of a biased take. Oh, second to none. It's just like, what fighters weren't described as being second to none back in World War II, Like, I have trouble believing that people were writing home saying, oh, these Indian fighters are so good. They're so much better than us, Like, I don't doubt that they were helpful and that they were definitely like carrying their own weight in these conflicts. But it's always funny to hear like the propagandistic aspect of it all. Like, oh, the Indian fighters were the best on the front lines. It's like, they were all good, Like, I just like, it's funny to just compliment yourself over and over again like that, I feel like.
These sons of our motherland were courageous in battle and chivalrous to the conquered.
Chivalrous to the conquered. See, I feel like, again, that's another Indian thing that, like, Europeans would not have cared about. Like, being chivalrous to the conquered. I feel like Indian people only appreciate that because they, too, were sort of a conquered people at this time. So they actually understood, like, treating conquered people with, like, dignity. Which is interesting, again. It's like the Indian character coming through this.
Their valorous deeds hastened the approach of liberty in our land.
I wonder if that was real Indian soldiers in World War II. Like, those were soldiers, but I don't know if those were Indian or if that was in World War II. Dude, and there are just so many Indian people everywhere. Like, I know that's like the whole thing about India is that there's people, but like, holy moly, like even back then there were just so many people.
The fascist hordes were battered into submission. Freedom.
See, these guys don't look Indian. These guys look like British.
Was in the making for our peoples.
These guys look Indian. These are definitely the Indian soldiers.
The new Labour government that came into power in Britain.
See, exactly. How do you train all these soldiers and then expect them to not want independence? Like you kind of just, I guess the British had their hands tied with the Nazis and all, but like, I guess it was just always meant to be that the Indians would achieve their own independence.
As the first gesture, released our imprisoned leaders, and the nation rejoiced. Britain now sent out the cabinet mission headed by Lord Pepe Lawrence, a genuine lover of freedom.
Pepe Lawrence, a genuine lover of freedom. So is this the guy who like gave them their independence? Let's see.
Among the cabinet mission were Sir Stafford Cripps and Mr. A.B. Alexander.
Dude, I think it's so funny whenever these like Europeans arrive in India and just like act like, snobbish Europeans. Just like his like pipe that he's smoking in front of everyone. It's just, I don't know, it's such an image.
On arrival at Delhi, negotiations were immediately started with our leaders. These were anxious days for India. The nation lived...
Yeah, exactly. Like, this must have been so strange to be, like, negotiating for your own freedom, Like, there must have been so much news happening, so many rumors swirling around, Like, this must have really been, like, an exciting period of time to be in India. Maybe not a good period of time. I mean, maybe not a bad period of time, but it's just, like, a very uncertain period of time, to say the least.
Through hopes and fears.
Like, imagine they didn't get their independence, like how shattered most of these guys would have been, It's just like, I guess it's very fortunate that things turned out the way that they did. I don't know if I should say that because I know things also turned out really poorly for a lot of people, but like, I don't know. I don't know how to say anything without insulting somebody.
The discussions ended. They were a success. But unfortunately, the country was to be divided. We were to emerge from our 200...
See, I want to know more about this as well. Like, did the Indian people, so they said unfortunately, so the Indian people wanted an independent India to be just all of this. They wanted it to be Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and what we now know as India. Like, that's interesting because I don't know. I just feel like it works better kind of divided. I get them wanting like Nepal though. Like, I don't know if that needed to be split up.
100 years of bondage as two nations.
Wow, look at this animation though. See, this is crazy. I love these map animations. So these countries are actually like moving them apart. So I wonder how they're doing this. They must be like on different plates that they're moving. Again, like such creativity. Like this is such extra. It's what it is. Like nobody had to go through the effort to figure out how to actually have these countries physically moving away from one another. But like somebody did. Somebody went through the extra effort in order for this visual to be given to us. It's just like we got to appreciate that.
India and Pakistan.
Pakistan. So that's, I'm so curious about Pakistan, like because Pakistan probably wasn't even represented here, right? If this was India negotiating with the British, then like what even happened with Pakistan, Like I feel like I need more even. I need to know more. Like did the British want to divide it after that?
It is the night of August the 14th, 1947.
1947. So this is the night of August 14th, 1947. Is that true? Is this actually Independence Day of India, or is this again just like stock footage or whatever? Like this must have been filmed later. Has to be staged. This can't actually be like legitimate footage from this day in history. Maybe it is, but like I don't think so.
The auspicious moment is on its way. In every house throughout the land, the lamps of good fortune are lighted to illumine the path to freedom.
Yeah, this might be like really cool to have all these open flames, but like how many Indian houses just like burned down in the immediate aftermath of achieving independence because of all this, Like I'm so worried about these open flames, man. I don't know.
Large numbers have foregathered in every Congress house. And in New Delhi...
Dude, look at all the fans. That's so funny that they have like these, not ceiling fans, obviously. They're like floor fans that are on poles. That's just, I've never seen fans like that anywhere but in these old programs for India. That's so funny. Like, look at them. Like, don't these things look like super dangerous too? Like, if one guy is too tall, that's all you need. Or if you have a question and you raise your hand, like, I'm a little freaked out by these floor ceiling fans. But I think it's hilarious that they all need the fans, Like, I know of India as being a very hot place, but I also know of Indian people of being like accustomed to that. So it's very funny to see them actually also sweating their balls off here, Like, it's funny that like even to Indians, India is still a hot place. Or maybe it's just because they're inside. I don't know. It's just funny that they really did need these fans.
The Constituent Assembly is in session. Babu Rajendra Prasad, the President of the Constituent Assembly, during his speech, had this to say: I want, on behalf of this Assembly, to assure all the countries of the world that we wish to be friends with them.
I do believe that, though. I feel like India does just want to be friends with everyone. Like, India doesn't actually have, like, a mean bone in its body, it feels like. I don't know. Like, I don't know any intentions of the Indian people that go against that. Like, I don't know if the Indians want to conquer any part of the world. I feel like they do genuinely just want to be everyone's friend.
We hold no enmity against anyone. While Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said,
this is interesting that we're getting to hear the actual original recording of this, though. That's like, again, I can't really understand it because it's Hindi, but like, it must be cool for people who know what he's saying to hear that. Again, I wish I could hear George Washington speak, like that's what I am kind of attributing to all this, is like this is the formation of this nation. Of course, I know India has like a very extended history, but like for the actual country, right, for the place with a constitution and laws and all that, like this is the very beginning. So like it's cool that you get to see these people actually formulating the country in real time. It's just we don't have this for like the American Revolution or anything.
We stand on the threshold of freedom. I want to assure everyone that India is a country for all. It does not belong to any special community or religion.
You know, this is very good though. I'm very impressed with like how much thought and care went into like the founding of India, or at least that's what it seems like. Again, this is propaganda. I could be just drinking all this propaganda right here. Like this could all be lies for all I know, but like based on what I am seeing, it seems like India really did make an effort to include like everyone in India. You know, we watched how there are other people in India besides Indians. I don't even know what you'd call them, like our original inhabitants, I guess. But like, it's interesting to see and to hear like very early, like this notion of just like Indian, I don't know, Indian camaraderie. Like no matter what religion or creed or whatever you were in India, caste, I guess, you were all Indian, I guess. And that's just, I don't know, it's a very interesting moment in Indian history too. I feel like before this you never really had that. I feel like you had a lot of competing groups in India until you had the formation of it as a country, and then it all became one community together. But I could be wrong about that. I definitely know my Indian viewers will let me know about that in the comments, so let's keep watching.
It belongs to all.
Again, who are these women though? Like why are there just all these women in this one like dress thing going on? Like I don't know the culture well enough to understand what's happening in this shot. That's cool. Is that like a lit up tower? That's like, it's a very early for like a tower covered in lights. Are those like fires or is that like electric lights? It looks like electric lights.
The hands of the clock move their way towards midnight.
Yeah, these are totally like Christmas lights almost. Like I guess they're not Christmas lights, but they look like little like string lights that they put on their temples.
All India is expecting.
Again, you just don't expect to see an Indian temple from 1949 covered in Christmas lights. I'm calling them Christmas lights now. Some of this electricity might be coming from the Canada Dam. That's funny to think about. Actually, no, because that was constructed later than this. All right, so we actually know that none of this electricity came from that dam. All right, interesting.
Prayers and invoke God's blessing.
Yo, they again have the Chicago radio microphones. Was Chicago radio just like the only place reporting on India? Or is like, what's the deal with these? Like, why are all the microphones from Chicago?
God's blessing for the newborn nation.
Oh, I think this is real footage, though, of them raising the Indian flag for the first time. Again, like how historical of an event to see the Indian flag being raised for the first time ever. You know, like we don't have that in America. Very few other places in the world have that sort of like history preserved through film like this. So it is really cool to get to see that sort of stuff. And I can only imagine it's even cooler for actual Indian people to see.
And the flag of India, our flag, the tricolor, is unfurled.
Okay, so here we can see that their flag is in its final form now. It doesn't have the rest of the spinning wheel. It just has the wheel.
The Constituent Assembly rises and stands in silence for 2 minutes in homage to those who gave their lives to win freedom.
It's funny to imagine these guys sitting in this room silently for 2 minutes with these fans going as fast as they are, you know? Like, you totally could have heard them, like, zooming, I bet.
Jai Hind! Victory to India.
This horn, you know, that's a sick horn. Is this like a real instrument in India too? Does everyone in India have one of these horns? I doubt it.
And with the dawn of August the 15th.
August the 15th. Oh, when is this gonna air? This is gonna air in like July probably. So, oh man, I could schedule this to air on Indian Independence Day. Maybe that's what I should do. No, for Indian Independence Day, I'll watch an Indian video for all 4 videos of that week. How about that? They'll still be color coordinated, but they'll each be Indian. There'll be an Indian yellow, green, red, and blue.
At New Delhi, vast crowds foregather in front of the Parliament buildings. The Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, followed by members.
See, even that, like the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, like I am so unfamiliar with that form of government that like I don't even know what those roles are. Like obviously the Prime Minister is like the equivalent of the President, but is the Deputy Prime Minister like the Vice President, or is he just like a second in command? I don't know.
Of the cabinet descend the steps.
I love everyone's outfits though, man. Like they really do have their traditional garb, but like industrialized, you know? Like I think that's the way to go. Like they are mass producing these garments that are more culturally significant to India. That's what I'm saying. Is like they're not just buying mass produced t-shirts from like American sweatshops. They're making their own mass produced garments that fit their culture better. And that's why everyone is wearing like same stuff, even though it's not westernized, which is just cool. It's cool to see India being able to actually exert its own fashion, I guess, fashion force through its industry. I really never thought I'd be talking about fashion this much, but here I am. Again, just so many people here. Like there are just, I can't even begin to describe like how uncomfortable I'd be in like a setting like this.
At Government House, in the historic Darbar Hall, Lord Mountbatten is...
Dude, is this the Queen of England? Hang on.
...sworn in as India's first Governor-General.
No, Governor-General. See, that's what I'm saying. Like there was the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, and then the Governor-General. Like... who's actually in charge here? That's what I want to know. This guy looks like he's the one in charge. He's wearing like the military dictator garb, so he might be the one in charge.
Then the Prime Minister and members of the Cabinet are sworn in. The new Governor-General and his lady...
Oh, so is the Governor-General the guy who swears in the rest of the cabinet members? That's interesting.
...drive in state to the Constituent Assembly. At the Constituent Assembly, he speaks to the nation.
I have a message from His Majesty the King.
Is this actually his voice? He recorded this in Hindi and in English? That would be interesting. I hope it's like that, but I can also see somebody else just recording this.
Deliver to you today. This
It sounds authentic, though.
is His Majesty's message. On this historic day, when India takes her place as a free and independent dominion in the British Commonwealth of Nations.
Hang on a second. So what they were doing here is they were taking their place as a free and independent nation within the British Commonwealth. That's interesting. I guess I kind of should have known that, but I not really.
I send you all my greetings and heartfelt wishes. Freedom-loving people everywhere will wish to share in your celebrations. At this historic
Freedom-loving people everywhere will wish to take part in your celebrations. That's interesting too, because like I guess that is fair. I wonder how many people were paying attention to this. Like I wonder how many people outside of India actually cared like at all, you know? Like did people in America like know this was happening and like were they paying attention, you know? Or people in Europe? I guess people in Europe probably didn't care. The people in Europe had bigger issues at this time, but like I guess yeah, well like were Americans like wow, like India's a new like democratic nation. Like that's awesome, you know? Like what was the international reaction to all this?
moment. Let us not forget all that India owes to Mahatma Gandhi.
It's interesting that even this guy closed his speech with saying how much India owes to Mahatma Gandhi. I guess game gotta respect game, you know what I'm saying? Dang, so hang on. So is this footage of the final Union Jack being brought down on the flagpole? Again, like that is historic footage to say the least. It's cool to get to see that in action. Again, we don't have footage of the British leaving like America, you know, like we don't have footage of any of that. So like it's cool to get to see it, even if it's for India instead.
India?
Dang, they fired the cannons. That's like the first thing they do when the British leave is they start firing the cannons. That's funny.
Is at last free.
Like I get the military like custom of that, but it's also like, all right, like they finally let us have the cannons. Like let's test them out. You know, I've been dying to shoot a cannon for like the whole occupation. Yeah, again, so many people, but this must have been like an absolutely awesome thing to be celebrating in India. Like this celebration only ever happened once, like oh, it must have been nuts. Like India on Independence Day, I can't even imagine. I bet my Indian fans can't even imagine India on Independence Day, like it must have been nuts. Wow, look at all these planes. Oh, is this a letter? Are they spelling something? Jai? Interesting. I wonder if that's on purpose. Because that kind of looks like what they were spelling in the flames or those like sparklers earlier. Does that mean anything to Indians? Like Jai? Does that mean like free or something? And they're flying these planes. That's incredible. Like India already had planes the moment they declared independence.
India's services were not forgotten, for they also played a prominent part in the day's rejoicings.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually like the underrepresented aspect of this all. Is like none of this would have happened if India didn't have like a ton of trained soldiers all of a sudden, like because they actually had like military might, because they had to be trained for World War II. Like I feel like that's actually what allowed all this to happen. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm like a conspiracy theorist, but like I don't think peaceful protesting would be as effective as a standing army of Indians, Like I just it feels like those might have had an equal play in India's independence. I could be wrong, but like it feels like I don't know, you all of a sudden have highly trained soldiers and you get your independence like the next year, It's weird. There must be a connection there is all I'm saying.
Look at this crowd.
Jesus, yeah, look at this crowd. Look how many people there are here. Like this, there's so many people here. This is just India for you though, I guess. Yeah, my Indian viewers, let me know, does it still look like this to this day? Just a sea of people everywhere. Probably not like this at least, but like there's probably still tons. I guess there's more people in India now than there was back then, but like this is just insane, man. And it's crazy because like in a normal movie, this would either be extras or this would be faked somehow, like in a normal movie, like they could never have accomplished this, but because this is just actual real historic footage, we are getting to see a crowd of like I don't even know how many people this is, like 10,000 people. How many people? I don't know. I have no way of guessing how many people this is, but like the only way we're getting to see this big of a crowd is by watching actual historical footage, and that's what makes watching this sort of stuff so valuable.
It watches the national flag flying from the red.
Like, look at them all moving. Like, there's actually people. It's just nuts.
Ramparts of the famous Red Fort at Delhi. In Bombay, the day celebrations commence at Colonial Tank Maidan. It is the same story everywhere.
Dude, it's literally like the scene from Star Wars when they beat the Empire, which I guess makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. But it's like, it's literally everyone from every part of India rejoicing and celebrating all at the same time. Like this really must have been a magical time to be in India, as an Indian at least.
Vast and jubilant crowds. A fire? No.
Now we're getting the happy Indian music though, the upbeat Indian music, that's what I'm here for.
Just an ingenious way of paying homage to one of the nation's departed leaders, Sir Firoz Shah Mehta.
Are they gonna spray him with a fire hose? Oh no, they're gonna put a wreath on him, or a I was gonna say a lei, because that's what you'd call these in like Hawaii. I don't know what you'd call them in India, but like this is a lei to me. Putting a lei on the statue, that's pretty funny. I like that though. That's pretty cool. I like the hat that this guy's wearing too, like the fire chief, the Indian fire uniforms. Like again, another aspect that has been preserved through film, like incidentally, but like just seeing the uniform that these firefighters are wearing is so interesting to me. The hat alone, like I want that hat. Helmet, I guess I should say.
Premier follows an old Indian custom. He plants a tree, a symbol of India's future prosperity.
See, that's how you know India is a good place, because they planted a tree as a symbol. You know, like how many people plant a tree every 4th of July? I bet probably 0, but I bet some people in India still do this. You know, like that's, you know, shout out to the people planting trees every Indian Independence Day.
Another highlight of the day was the Freedom Procession, with Young India this time in the lead.
Young India. See, this is, again, so nuts. This must have been like such a big event for everyone's lives. It's hard to even fathom this sort of thing happening in your society. Like, imagine witnessing your country achieve independence after being like brutally oppressed. It's so nuts. I really hope my Indian viewers are enjoying this and like actually getting a lot out of this. Like, I hope this isn't really boring for you guys. Like, I hope you're actually like, wow, this is like so cool getting to see everything like this. Maybe you guys have already seen this stuff, but for me, this is the first time I'm ever witnessing Indian Independence Day.
India is a secular state, and these Muslim volunteers are Indians first and last. India's womanhood, so patient in adversity and who suffered in our struggle for freedom, now march with heads held high. Stage and film stars help to entertain the crowds as they pass by.
Yeah, it just looks like one big party. Like everyone's dancing, performing, giving music. It's just awesome, man. Like this must have been the energy, the vibe must have been like so excited back then.
Indeed, it was a picturesque cavalcade, worthy of Bombay. In Calcutta, the largest city in India, there was...
Calcutta was the largest city in India? That's crazy. I did not know that. I thought Delhi or Mumbai or Bombay or whatever, like, I thought those were the biggest cities. I did not know Calcutta was the biggest city in India at the time. That's cool information as well. I wonder how many of my Indian viewers knew that.
Thanksgiving and celebration.
I don't think that's the case anymore, right? I think Calcutta still has a lot of people, but I think Delhi or Mumbai now has more. I could be wrong about that, but I was not expecting Calcutta to be India's biggest city.
Martyrs were remembered. A portrait of Subhash Chandra Bose, a worthy son of India. Madras was also en fête.
Yeah, I think they're just showing shots of like every different Indian city experiencing the same celebrations, you know? Like this really is just every single place in India was partying it up during this day.
Civilians and service personnel.
Dang, I wonder if there's anyone in India alive that still remembers this. Maybe 1949. They'd have to be really old though. They'd have to be like really old and were like a child during this. But there might still be some people who remember this. I wouldn't count on it though.
Personnel helped to make the day a great success. Liberty and happiness marched hand in hand.
Liberty and happiness marched hand in hand. You know what? That's fair too.
And look at Jumbo. Even the elephant enjoys freedom.
Oh, what was the name of the elephant from Elephant Baby? Dang, I forgot what it was. Oh, dang. Never mind then.
In London, Britain extends to the new nation the warm hand of friendship.
In London, Britain extends the warm hand of friendship. So that's interesting. Again, very poetic language. I don't know if England's hand deserved that much poetic license, but I guess that's fine too. The warm hand of freedom. You know, it is very interesting how there were like, I don't want to say there were no hard feelings between them, but like the fact that like they stayed sort of friends even is like kind of remarkable, you know, like the British and the Indians. Like I would just imagine that the Indians would want nothing to do with the British after this, but I guess not. I guess they were chill. I guess they were friends.
Lord Patrick Lawrence attends a ceremony in honor of Indian freedom. The British were among the most eager to welcome India's independence.
The British, who were most eager to welcome India's independence. See, like, that's how you know this stuff is propaganda. When they even start, like, when they even start propagandizing the British in favor, like, I don't know, like, I don't think the British were waiting for the Indians to gain their independence. I think they were actually doing the exact opposite.
Mr. Belodi, India's High Commissioner, spoke to a distinguished gathering at India House. He said,
See, their radios are BBC. So India has Chicago radio, but then actually in London they have the BBC radio, which makes sense. It's interesting.
Today is a great day for us in India. It marks the end of one chapter and the opening of yet another.
Oh, this is cool too, because we're getting to see like an actual Indian person from 1949 speaking English, like we're actually hearing, which I guess we've also been listening to this whole time, but like getting to see this person speak in English is just cool.
And let us hope the most glorious chapter in our history.
I feel like that's maybe why I like India so much, is because some of them speak English. Probably, to be honest, like that's why, that's how I'm able to watch all these programs. It's just like speaking the same language allows you to appreciate cultures so much more.
Let us prove worthy of this freedom.
Like, I actually get to enjoy the intelligent way this guy is speaking because I know the language that he's speaking, Like, I would never be able to respect them through their own language because I don't know their own language, The only way I'm able to be convinced that these people are intelligent and, like, caring, smart people is by hearing them speak. And the only way that I will actually be able to understand what they say is if they speak English. It's just like them speaking English is so helpful for me. And I don't know, it demonstrates something about their character as well.
Let us dedicate ourselves today faithfully to use this freedom nobly.
Singapore Bel Air.
Singapore Bel Air? That sounds like a very random series of words.
It was the same story. Indians gathered in large numbers to celebrate the newfound freedom.
Oh, okay, so Jai Hind. All right, so it says Jai Hind. I feel like that does mean something. Jai probably means free, and Hind is like India, right? Hindu, India. So Jai Hind might be like free India or like India's free or something. I think that's what it means. Jai Hind. Somebody in the comments. I know somebody watching knows what Jai Hind means. So please let me know in the comments. I think I understand, but just let me know.
At Canberra, Australia's capital.
Canberra, Australia's capital. See, that's interesting. We're getting like the whole international reception of India's independence now, which is cool. Well, I guess this was actually British still, right? Or maybe not. Maybe I actually have no idea when Australia became independent. I mean, Canada only became independent like later than this. So I can only imagine Australia wasn't independent either. So I guess it was just British, I guess.
The selected assembly of Australians and Indians gathered at the residence of the High Commissioner of India, Sir Raghunath Paranspe. After a fitting speech by the High Commissioner, the flag was proudly hoisted.
See, there is something to be said for like how peaceful of a transition of power this was. The fact that they're celebrating this in Australia, like all the British are like sort of fine with handing over India back to the Indians. Just as an American, like we had to fight a war in order to get this all done. So it's funny to see it all just happening sort of like, I don't know, like they're all friends or something. It's like these people colonized you for like hundreds of years. I mean, like you're just chill with them. Like, I don't know, like it's a very different process of independence when compared to the American process.
The Ebbett, Minister for External Affairs, was also present.
Toronto. See, we're going to Canada now. So we're getting to see like the entire British Empire pretty much at this point.
Capital of Canada. Here again, Indian independence.
Dude, look at all these Indian people in Canada in 1949, though. Like, what the heck even were they doing here, Like, what are they doing here? They must have been so cold, first off. But second off, like, what were they doing here? I don't know.
Was celebrated.
I mean, I guess it's, like, the British, but, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would there be, like, an Indian consulate in Toronto if they were all just British at the same time, Like it makes sense for India, the country, to have like an embassy in Canada, but it doesn't make sense for India, the British colony, to have an embassy in Canada, the British colony. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes sense for them to have colonial offices everywhere, but not actual like intercolonial like embassies, I guess. It's just surprising to see all these like Indian institutions all over the former British Empire, I guess. Oh, and the radio they're using is CBC, so that's funny. So that's the Canadian broadcast channel. So everywhere that's not India, they are using like the local British Empire like radio, but in India themselves, they're using Chicago radio, which is interesting. But again, the fact that they were raising the Indian flag in Toronto just goes to show like how there weren't really that hard feelings, you know? Like they kind of seems like they were chill with this. Honestly, like, I feel like the British knew that they were never going to hold on to all of India, you know? Like that's impossible even as a thought experiment.
And in Washington, Indian independence was warmly celebrated. Mr. Asaf Ali, India's ambassador in Washington, presided on the occasion of the flag hoisting ceremony.
See, this is in Washington, which is different because this is not a British colony still. This is obviously independent USA celebrating India achieving independence for our own reasons. You know, like everywhere in the British Empire was probably just doing that out of like the Commonwealth or whatever. But here in America, we were celebrating Indian independence for like a completely different reason. Not because we were part of the Commonwealth, we weren't, but because we believed in Indians actually achieving independence and like having democracy, you know, like it's a bit different than Canada's celebrations of Indian independence is all I have to say. Like this is true friends, you know, like Canada had to celebrate India's independence because they were all a part of the Commonwealth, but US did not have to celebrate this, but we did anyway because it was a good move for India and for the world pretty much.
The whole world rejoiced at India.
You know, honestly, I bet America enabled India to achieve its own independence too. I don't know, because had England fallen to the Nazis in World War II, I can only imagine what would have happened in India. I bet it would have been like chaos, but I bet they would have gotten free as well. So I don't know. I guess maybe, I don't know. I don't know if they benefited or not from America joining World War II. That's a 3D chess level question. Did India benefit from the US joining World War II? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But it seems like we were friends anyway. You know, it seems like America was down for celebrating Indian independence, which we still are to this day.
The man who made it possible, the father of the nation,
Oh man, that just reminded me, we didn't actually talk about the Salt March.
walked with a heavy heart.
I guess, that is a very important event in Indian history, but that wasn't like the whole story behind Indian independence. So I guess I get why we kind of skipped over it, but I thought I'd at least hear a mention or something.
His vision was of one land, one people, one nation. But it was a dream that never came true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you envisioned India as including Pakistan and Bangladesh and Nepal and everything, then I guess that dream never came true. But I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like India might have benefited in the long run by doing that. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Indian audience, let me know what you guys think about that. But I don't know. I think India is more stable because of that. I think India is more stable because of that.
And thus, freedom returned to ancient India.
Ancient India. All right, here's the temple again.
With freedom came a realization of...
Oh wow, we're not even going to see it all. But that's a very important Indian temple. I'm going to watch a whole program on that temple one day, trust me.
the beauty of our land, with its picturesque hills and valleys.
See, this is interesting too. I can't express how little I know about India as far as its like wildlife, because here I'm seeing like pine trees and like this looks like a mountain forest. And obviously I know India has the Himalayas, they have tall mountains and they have cold parts of India with like conifer forests like this. It's so amazing to see like this environment in India, whereas this is exactly how I picture like America, Canada, like Russia even. Like this is just not the sort of natural environment I picture being in India.
Its snow-covered mountains.
Yes, snow-covered mountains, exactly. Like how many people outside of India even know that India has snow-covered mountains? Like, again, the Himalayas, people should know that, but like how many really do?
Waterfalls. Blessed by nature, and with a vast potential of mineral resources and manpower, it will be easy for us to regain our proud place in the forefront of the nations of the world.
It will be easy for us to regain our proud place at the forefront of the nations of the world. So that's curious. I don't know, because from my perception, it has been pretty tough for India to really catch up to everyone else. I could just be wrong about that, but it seems like India really had a lot of work to do in order to catch up, but maybe not. I don't know.
As free men, we offer the hand of friendship to all lovers of freedom.
Did this happen? Did people actually, schools took kids out and just had them do jumping jacks? This has never happened in an American school where we just all went outside and did jumping jacks, I guess maybe they didn't have a school gym for them to do this in, so I guess it makes sense that they're doing it outside, but it's just there's so many people again.
Free men, we offer the hand of friendship to all lovers of freedom.
The hand of friendship to any lovers of freedom. You know what? I really do respect India for that, because that does seem genuine. I know this is propaganda, but India does genuinely seem interested in nothing except peace. I have never heard anything besides friendship and peace from India. So I'll give them that.
The glory of our freedom, flag of our nation, we salute you. Jai Hind.
Okay, so that was the end. So that was India independence. So I feel like there's still a story to be told that I wasn't told in this. I feel like to fully understand India's independence, I need to understand these guys better, right? Every guy that I was pointing to, I feel played a part. And I feel without knowing what part all these people played, I don't actually understand how India achieved its independence. I understand it from a simple sense, but I don't actually understand the machinery or how they actually got themselves to be independent. I don't even know if I'm making sense, but I just feel there's more to this story than what I heard here. Obviously we didn't even learn about the Salt March and everything. So there are parts of the story that have been left out, but I feel I don't fully understand how India achieved independence quite yet. Though I do feel I understand it a lot better now that I've watched this. I feel I actually got to see India during this time, at the very least, which is as important, I think. Yeah, another thing I think I actually would have enjoyed is hearing from the British. I know that sounds weird, but I kind of am curious what the British thought about all this. Obviously the Indian people were excited to get their independence, but I want to know the different opinions of the British. Some probably were for it and some were probably against. And I want to know that argument. I want to know who was pro-Indian independence in the British Empire and who was anti-Indian independence. And I want to know how those arguments played out, really. But I'd say this did a good job. I feel I now understand the most basic aspect of India's independence. And I think I'll always remember August 15th, August 15th, 1947. That is India's Independence Day. If I can remember that, then they can remember the US's Independence Day. So August 15th, 1947. That is India's Independence Day. For the rest of the time I watch these Indian programs, I will always remember that. That is, at least I hope so. But you know what? That's actually why I decided to watch this today. Because I plan on watching so many more of these Indian programs, I thought this would be the best one to really start with, right? I know I've already watched some, but I feel this actually is the foundation that I need in order to continue learning about India going forward. So I'm glad I have this. I still need to learn more about India's ancient history, but at least I understand India's beginning of their modern history. At least I have that. But if you enjoyed watching and would like to help support this channel as I try to continue watching these Indian programs, then you can head on over to the Internet Archive and leave a donation. The Internet Archive is where I get all these old programs from, so they deserve all the credit for these. All right, and you know what? I'll get to that one temple one day. That's the only thing that I feel we didn't address, but I feel I'll watch that in another video. Yeah, I think all we have to do is to cut to black.